computadora. Okay, we are recording.
Okay, great. So you were saying that there is a difference between introverts and highly sensitive persons.
One of the major discoveries of Elaine Aron, the psychiatrist or psychologist, American psychologist, who discovered this trait, was that she found that 30% of all the HSPs are extroverts.
30%.
30%. So whereas you would look for what is or might be wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. You start looking as an introvert because, well, we are the majority of the HSPs, but we are not the only ones. And most of the characteristics of the trait coincide with introversion. But then again, an extrovert person can overstimulate just as easily and maybe even faster than an introvert, being an HSP, because what lies underneath is that we receive, regardless whether we're introverts or extroverts, we receive so much more information. More information at the same time than our brain can process. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that, well, we get all uptight and even we have short circuits in the ways that we can develop headaches or stress or even feel nauseous, no, or dizzy, because we cannot keep up. And it is the same for introverts as extroverts.
Mm. You said in your book, you mentioned that since childhood you felt as a rare bird, which does not fit 100% anywhere. What led you to discover the concept of highly sensitive person, AHPs?
I don't get the question. I know child I did not fit in, and then the second part I didn't sort of register.
What led you to discover the concept?
Okay, that's
how do you discover it?
That's a good question. I mean, I was already 52 years old, so I mean, my whole life I've been feeling like sort of a misfit, or a green duck, or whatever you want to call it. And then in a discussion with a boyfriend of mine at the time, he was somebody with a very loud voice, and his way of speaking was not like an HSP introvert would speak. So I had this loud voice, and he was sort of always shouting in a way, for my perception, because being an HSP. And then he got very easily, well, let's just say, it was easy to get upset about things. And then he shouted even more and said nasty things. And then I completely locked down. I blocked, because I couldn't cope with all the information that was coming from him at the same time. And I could not respond in a normal way. I couldn't say that, okay, I hear you, but let's talk about this later. I just shut up entirely. And then he thought, and he commented this in a loud voice, that my way of reacting was not normal. It was, in fact, it was sort of indicating a very serious mental health problem, and I should consult a psychiatrist, but I could start looking on the internet to see what was wrong with me.
Okay. And then
I went on the internet, and my computer was always open because I am a translator, although I am not, well, I started again working as a translator, but I stopped doing it at the time. And I typed in highly sensitivity in English, because my main work was from English translating into Dutch. And then I found Elaine Aron. And this is about 13 years ago. And it changed my life. It was, like the missing piece of the puzzle.
Yes, like it all fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
So you discovered there was nothing wrong, just a trait of personality.
Yeah, I discovered that, and also that maybe I should study this trait and find out how this trait, the characteristics of this trait are reflecting in my personality, because you're HSP, but we're not the same, because we are more than HSP. We have our own backpack with
background.
With experience.
For people who don't understand the concept, how can we define it, the concept of highly sensitive person? Or what is it?
Yeah. When I found out about this trait, Elaine Aron only had a test on her website. Her website is hsperson.com, with I think 22 questions or 23. And there was no more information. It was a test like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So I took this test. And everybody can take this test. It's on my web in Spanish. It's also in the book, by the way. That's the first indication. There was no other information at the time. About 5 years ago, Elaine Aron developed the concept further, and a lot of investigation has been realized. And then she found that she could reduce the characteristics or the trait or the definition of the trait to 4 basic points, which she calls or describes as DOES, D-O-E-S, deep, standing for deep processing, all the information that gets to us. We take it to a deeper level and we sort of reflect on it and think about it a lot and ask ourselves questions, or even ask questions to the world or whoever is near. We're sort of reflecting about things. Huh? And then there's the O. The O is overstimulation, because we get so much information, because we reflect so much, because we are always aware of what's going on. We overstimulate, because what I said earlier, we have no time to process all the information that's coming into us that we are receiving. So we get sort of these short circuits, or we get wound up, or we get, I don't know, we change inwardly because we can't cope. We get nervous, we get very much stressed. And that's overstimulation. It can be, well, no, I'll tell about that later. That's the second, we call them pillars in Spain. We've got 4 pillars: deep processing, overstimulation. Then we're very emotional. We react. Sometimes we are overreacting, as it were, compared to other people. We cry easily, we laugh easily, we love easily. We get we see something beautiful, we get tears in our eyes. Sunset, sunrise, a baby smiling, a beautiful flower. That's the good part. But the bad part also gets in deeper, no? We think about that and we get emotional in a negative way as well. Then attached to that is a facet that's very interesting. We're empathetic. We really can understand how other people feel, and we perceive that too. We suffer with other people, no? Or, I mean, we can sort of put ourselves in other people's shoes and understand people in that way. Although this doesn't happen when we are very stressed. If we are stressed, we lose this faculty. So that's why I mention it, but always with a certain reserve, because it's not right to say we're always empathic. It's only when we are centered and calm and feeling okay, right? Mm-hmm. So then we have 3 pillars: deep processing, overstimulation, emotionality, and S, DOES. S stands for sensitive to subtleties, tiny details, tiny differences. We notice them. Other people don't notice tiny details. We think they do, but they don't. I mean, you probably have gotten to visit a friend of yours, a house you go often to, and then suddenly you see that she's changed the picture in a frame in a bookcase. Nobody else would notice, but an HSP does. Or you see that somebody has a loose button, or you see that somebody has, I don't know, changed a haircut, or details like that, which are for us so normal to see. Not HSPs don't see those details. No, it's a very funny realization to sort of become aware of it, that only generally, only we perceive these things. And also we can say that the senses in general are very much more sensitive, to what's going on. Too much light, too much, a noise oftentimes to us is too much noise, whereas other people, they didn't even hear it, but we have heard it, and it's sort of bothering because we are stressed, for instance. Okay. So those are the 4 pillars, and these pillars must be there. If one is failing, the person has something going on, evidently, but it's not an HSP.
If one of these pillars, people don't relate to it, she isn't an ASP.
Exactly.
Okay. So we defined the concept, and now can we define the main characteristics of this person? How can we define this kind of person? For somebody who doesn't know what it is, how can we explain to them how we are?
Yeah,
yes.
The pillars, of course, are used as the mirror we present to people. So, are you recognizing yourself in this picture?
Okay.
But before that, well, maybe somebody who cries easily. That could be a first indication. Somebody who is just very emotional, or somebody who's always complaining about noise or smells, for instance. So we're very sensitive to smells, good smells and bad smells. We smell them sooner or earlier than other people who are not HSPs. Because,
for instance, on the noise, I found very annoying the noise of telephone notifications or telephone rings. It's that a good example?
It's an excellent example. I have on my phones, on the application, I switched off all the signals, all the sound signals, because I don't need them. The only ones that I leave on are WhatsApps, but that is because only my very near friends and family have my telephone number, and nobody else has my telephone number. So I don't get a lot of WhatsApps unless something serious is going on. And then also when I see my telephone, I have the messages and things lighting up. I can see that, and that's enough. Out of the corner of my eye, I register that something is going on. And if I don't want to see it, I just turn my telephone face down.
Yes. But probably when we listen to a music that we enjoy, we like to hear it loud. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Or loud is a judgment in itself, because what is loud to you might not be loud to your neighbor.
Yeah.
So it's mind's elasticity, because we are our own referral. We refer to what we are experiencing. No? Yes, I like my music. I turn up the volume when I hear, for instance, Mahler or whatever, some music that really touches me.
Yes.
Emotional level. And then yes, I stop all my work and I really want to hear, I want to listen. I cannot handle music when I'm working, when I'm writing an article or something. I switch everything off.
Because you have to be quiet when you are working.
Too much information. If I have to register the music on one level and create coherent thought to write a coherent article, I cannot have this music there, because there's something distracting me, and I need to be full.
Yes, That's why probably AHPs are found it difficult to work on open space, right?
I was going to say that, yes, because there's always something going on. People talking, movements, people walking, other telephones ringing. It's very difficult, yeah.
How can they cope with that? Probably with the headphones, or going for a walk if the environment is very loud.
Yeah, not all people can do that, but
yes.
or go to the bathroom and do some meditation or respirations, that kind of thing, that helps a lot. Or if you can go out, yes, or drink water, or ground your feet to the floor, really become aware of this consciously, become aware of this act, taking contact or making contact with the floor, or the back of your chair. That's another one, because energetically what is happening, you are sort of we're like a radar. We're always sort of seeing what's happening around us, and if we are not aware of that we are doing that, we get exhausted. So if you have a conscious action of closing down your radar or focusing your radar on yourself, which you can do by taking notice of the back of your chair or your feet on the ground, then you come back within yourself energetically.
So you were speaking about the noise, about the smells. Any other characteristics?
Well, lights, for instance, harsh lights. I mean, HSP with clear eyes, like blue eyes, would normally be very sensitive to light. But I have greenish brown eyes and I'm very sensitive to light. I like to wear sunglasses often as I can. And there are some lights that are really disturbing. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was just talking with another person the other day. A discotheque for me is not possible, because apart from the loud music and the thumping bass that really sort of boom, boom, boom comes into.
Yes, you feel it deeply in you. Yes.
Terrible. It's all these lights, and it drives me bananas. It really makes me sick, nauseous. So I have to. Well, this was a childhood experience, but the first discotheques that were happening here in Mallorca.
Yes.
I don't think it has changed a lot. And it's so yes, there's light, and there's also the very thing, like the skin and everything we touch is touch in itself as a one of the senses. We're very sensitive there as well, usually, and have a delicate skin, most of us.
So and that thing with having less tolerance to pain.
Yeah, that's touch as well, isn't it?
It's related to touch, right?
Yeah, it's related to touch, but also there's a visual component, because when a very today, well, actually, a very sort of information, like if you have to have an injection or if you have to get extract blood from your body, you all see the needle and you're feeling the pain. So it's not all touched. It's remembering what has happened before, that a certain thing will cause you pain, and but generally skin is very sensitive. I remember my childhood, when my children, when they fall from their bicycle, or when I fell from my bicycle, there was a combination of pain, obviously, but also the surprise, because surprise in itself contains a lot of information. The unexpected, fireworks. So we are not good in those things either, because there's pain, and we're sensitive to touch, to pain, but also we're not good in channeling surprise. Fireworks, like, it's for me awful.
And
we don't expect it.
Yes, and we get scared easily, right?
Yeah, well, surprised or scared, I don't know, they go a bit together, don't they? Because it's the unexpected that overtakes us, and we don't, because we take it to a deep level. Remember the first pillar?
Yes.
And we want to know what's going on and what's happening, and who else has gotten affected by it, and is there damage? And I mean, immediately we have all sorts of questions, maybe even not even consciously, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to process in one tiny moment, and the brain, of course, is very fast. But even so, we might get even in shock.
Mm-hmm.
A door slamming, we might need about 2 or 3 minutes to calm down our heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else said, "What's the matter? It's just a door."
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it's just a door, but it was so loud.
Are these characteristics transmitted genetically?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a genetic trait. So another indication could be, if you suspect that you're an HSP, look at your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of them, or maybe even two,
Mm-hmm.
could also have this trait. Same thing. If most people discover this trait, and that's interesting, because one of their children or their child is having difficulties.
Okay.
And then they start to look for what might be wrong with this child. And then they realize, because they find the trait and they start to investigate, and then they realize, oh gosh, well, if this is genetical, maybe I'm the same way. And then I start to think, and I find out that I'm also an HSP. Most parents discover nowadays the trait like that. Yeah, it's interesting.
And it's more different more frequent in women or in men?
No, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same. It's obviously this cultural thing. I don't know in Portugal. I think Portugal is less machista as Spain is. I hope so.
Not that much.
Yeah, well, it's of course a Latin thing, isn't it?
Yes, very Latin.
So here in Spain, if a man is emotional, it's very difficult for a man or a boy to really have the emotions, show them, because well, he gets all sorts of insults, and
yes,
it's sad. So these little boys, sensitive boys, start to compensate and to deny their sensitivity, and maybe become overly, unsensitive. Mm-hmm. Wear a mask, if it were, suppress your feelings.
Yes. Can it be considered a disease or a personality disorder?
No, not at all. The difference between a mental health problem or a personality disorder is, and a trait, is the frequency in which it manifests, right? A trait is something very normal. If we say that 20% of all population is highly sensitive, then it's normal. It's like saying 20% of the people have blue eyes. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't go to a doctor because your eyes are blue. Mm-hmm. So that's a trait, and a mental disorder is really an exception and is a problem and probably needs to be medicated. Whereas being highly sensitive doesn't need medication. It might not even be a problem at all, because if you've had a good childhood in which your sensitivity was rewarded as something very positive, you wouldn't ever have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. Because you integrate who and what you are.
Because normally it's society, I think, that is not prepared for people who show highly sensitive. Mm-hmm. Imagine if I'm going to get my blood extracted, and I say to the doctor or the nurse that I may be faint after a few minutes. they don't show appreciation normally. They say I'm just being picky, or when I comment to friends and family, they also said, "Oh, you're so sensitive," in a bad way.
Yeah.
So I think that people are not used to others show emotion like this. We always have to be brave at every time. So how can we show to others that it's also normal to be that way?
Yeah. My personal trick
Yes.
is to make a comment like that and then laugh about myself. So, okay, I always faint when I get needles into my body. Ha ha ha. May I lay down?
Okay.
And then there's no tension.
Mm-hmm.
Because you make it into something light and something that's not really relevant, or you're not accusing the other person of being brutal or hard. You take responsibility of who and what you are, and you present it like something that, well, this is me, and I'm capable of laughing at myself and my faiblesse, no, my weaknesses, and I'm not accusing you of anything. It's just me, and if I can lie down, please let me. Or and then usually people laugh with you.
Yes,
That's what
normally.
happens. So it's that's why it's so important to know the trait and know what it does to you, so you can sort of integrate your strangeness or your being different.
Yes.
And
So it's like just for the person who is feel okay with its her strangeness.
yeah,
Not
and
feeling bad about it.
no, not feeling bad, not being ashamed of it, because that's
Yes.
in our society everything is, not everything, but many things are based on being competitive. You have to be as strong as, you have to be as rich as, you have to be as fast as, you have to be as intelligent as. No, everybody is an individual and we're all different. And I mean, you wouldn't dream of saying to somebody, you have to be as sensitive as I am, because that's ridiculous. In the same way, we can sort of take the sting out of nasty thoughts we have. We have to be as hard as, we have to be as competitive as. Take the sting out of it, because these are messages we received in childhood, that we want to belong,
Yes.
we want to be as fast and as insensitive and as whatever other people are, and then we choose models which are not sensitive.
In your case, how did your life change from the moment you identify yourself as a highly sensitive person?
It changed radically. Like 180%. Yes, it did. And even, like I said before, I changed my work. I left translations and I trained as a coach after sort of studying all the work of Elaine Ahrens and learning about the trade. And then I followed new formations. It's not formation, it's not a word. I learned trainings to become a coach in the United States, because at that time there was nothing here in Spain. I learned about mediation in conflicts. I learned about nonviolent communication, and all things of tools that I found I needed in my toolbox to be able to help other HSPs to find their voice and to find their center and to really respect themselves for who they are. So it changed my life, and I started working as a coach. I started writing articles. I started my blog, and then the books came, and the association came, and it really changed my life. And I was a hermit before. Like I said, I was translating books. I did about a book a month. I've translated so many books, and I lived like a hermit. I mean, I chose a form of life which was easy for me to, without knowing, of course, but it was easy for me to manage. I work at home, I worked at home, I still work at home, in my own bubble. Had no conflicts with office workers or whatever, because I was at home. I was my own boss.
Yes.
And that hasn't changed.
Mm.
Being a coach, I still was my own boss. But I ventured out into the world. Before, I could not talk. When there was a table of more 3-4 people and everybody was talking and giving opinions, I was not able. I was too shy, apparently too shy, too insecure, basically, to speak up. And I learned to give conferences to big audiences. So yes, it changed my life radically.
But that's a major difference between being shy and then speak to 1,000 persons, for example. So it required a lot of practice?
No, it required understanding.
Okay.
It required understanding why was I how I was. Why was I afraid? I call it insecure, because I didn't understand myself. If you don't understand yourself, you cannot find your proper place within the world, because you don't know who you are. So it requires really a profound understanding of what a trait is and what your life has been so far, why it has been the way it has been. I understand now why I looked for a job. I mean, from very early on as a child, I knew I would translate books. I never questioned it, but now understanding allows me to see why was that? Why was I looking for non-interaction with other people? Because I didn't know how to behave, because I was always the odd one out and people were laughing at me and I felt terrible. Understanding that now, it's like you become free, as far as you can be free in this society, but free within yourself. So that's why it's so important that people know the trait and understand that trait and understand their way of being.
Normally when people discover it, what happens in the next days, weeks, they feel different. They started to try to get more information. They speak with it with friends and family. How is it?
Yeah, well, it's individual. I don't know, right? But what we see many times is that people have finally discovered what was supposedly wrong with them. And then they have this golden key. They found the golden key of understanding themselves, and then they start sort of standing on the rooftop and shouting, I know what's wrong with me. I'm just an HSP. I'm not ill. It's all very normal. And it's just a trait. And then people start to ask, what is this HSP? What does it mean? Well, it means that being sensitive is normal. Yeah, well, maybe it's not. So people start asking questions and you don't know what you're really talking about. So you make yourself more vulnerable and you don't have the tools or the knowledge to try to explain what's happening to you, and you get ridiculed and you're not ready yet to present yourself to the world as a highly sensitive person. So, and then people get depressed and they isolate themselves much more, and then it becomes a drama. It turns from a eureka into a drama very fast. So that's
how can we get out of the drama if we are there?
Yeah, once again, learn about the trait. Learn about the trait. Read all that you can find about it. If you speak and read English, well, perfect, because there's so much literature in English.
Yes.
Find out, talk to other people, find people who are like you. And here in Spain, we have local groups from the association throughout Spain, and we have internet groups, and people go there and talk to like-minded people to learn from each other, because we can learn so much from each other. What is your experience? How do you feel when this or that happens to you? exchange experiences. But don't shout you are an HSP before really understanding what it does mean. Because it's terrible. It's like you open yourself up and you become so vulnerable and stressed, and people, I mean, it's not easy for an HSP if people laugh at you for being sensitive. You feel criticized, you feel not enough, no? This thing that not being enough. And then you want to disappear, and you make yourself small and smaller still. And you just don't want to be there, and everybody is, the world is bad, but it becomes worse, and it's like terrible. So learn about what's happening to you, and then speak up, and then tell other people. And like I say, learn to laugh about yourself.
That I have learned.
It's so important, Sonia, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, because humor helps in every situation. It helps to dissolve tension so many times. Yes. And it's very easy for somebody I don't take myself too seriously, because why? So
exactly.
Yes. And what are the main difficulties living with this characteristic? I mean, we talked about it from the personal perspective, but what about relationships and family and also work?
Yeah, well, I personally think our main difficulty is stress.
Stress, okay.
Stress. Because like I said in the beginning, we are receiving more stimuli, more input than we can handle, because the world is made by and for people who don't have our trait. Everything is fast. There's a lot of noise, and there's little time, and everybody's running. And of course, we try to keep up with that rhythm, more so if we don't understand the trait, we don't know the trait, and we never catch up with the non-HSPs, because yes, it's a fact, they are faster, because maybe they are more superficial. They don't go into things deeply as we do. Okay, so in every situation, if it's work, if it's vacation, if it's relationships, if it's parenting, it's stress, because we always compare ourselves to the others and we're never catching up, right? And then we get this overstimulation thing, and then we want to shout, or we lock down, or we get blocked, or we get headaches, or we get ill. In work, we might even come to a burnout. We might get depressed. So that's our major, to me, this is our major enemy, right? Mm-hmm. Also, then what we need, and what is very important to really be aware of, is that we need downtime. We need time for ourselves, time to switch off, time to be on our own, time to be in nature, time to read, time to meditate, whatever you are doing for yourself, to look after yourself, to come down on this rat race, really, that's always going on round about us. So even in relationships, be aware of needing time for yourself. Yes. And claiming this from the very beginning. If you start out in a relationship, well, let the other person know about your needs. We need a good night.
Yes, it's not very easy sometimes.
No, but it is a must if you really want your relationship, any relationship,
to work.
To work, mark your territory,
boundaries.
Boundaries, exactly, and keep them, be aware of them all the time, and let the other person know that this got nothing to do with the other person. It's about preserving harmony, well-being, and the relationship in itself. So yes, this is very important. We need to sleep enough. 8 hours is a minimum.
Personally,
yeah, personally, I need 9. I know that. If I want to be in optimal form, if I travel to do conferences and workshops and things, I never go and sleep with other people who invite me. I go to a hotel because I don't want to be unpolite, but I know that I'll perform better if I am on my own, have my own rhythm. I don't have to be nice to anybody who has invited me and have endless conversations. No, I can be with myself. And I can sleep my hours, and I can eat what I need to eat, because I need to eat healthy. No sugars, and I'm very careful with flour. I don't drink milk. All these things you can discover with time to make you feel better. So yeah, downtime, time for yourself, and tell your partner. And I don't know, tell your boss if you can.
Yes. In this case, in work, probably it's a little difficult, more difficult, because you have the stress from the work and the stress of your overstimulating. So probably you need to take some time off more frequently.
Yeah, one of the things Elaine Aron suggested once, and I like that very much. Instead of taking a major holiday a year, like summer holiday, 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know how much you can get from your job, but take smaller vacations, many small vacations, so you get time for yourself and sort of rest and process everything you're dragging along from work, whatever. It seems to be more effective to have several short vacations instead of only one. And then also in work, like I said before, if you can walk around the block or go to the bathroom or open office space, is if you can manage to sit to look at the wall and not to look at the people. I don't know, headphones, like you said. To be creative, have a plant next to you if you can, on your desk, or a flower or whatever. Something.
This pandemic situation that made people work from home, probably highly sensitive persons feel much more easily being work at home, right?
Yeah. I don't want to generalize, because I don't know about everybody. Everybody's different, like I said.
Yes.
But funnily enough, we have our group here in Mallorca, and last month we did weekly sessions with people from the group of Mallorca on Zoom, and basically all of us were so much happier. Working from home, own rhythm, no rush, no stress, saving all this. The travel from home to work is also so stressy.
For me, the most stressful part is co-workers.
Well, yeah, that's in your case. Maybe your way to the office is not as hectic or stressed or whatever.
No.
You live in Madrid and having to catch a metro early morning, and rushing to work and pushing people aside or get pushed aside, and you cannot get into the metro. You don't come on time, because we always want to be on time, and correctness, values, and things like that are very important to us. And we get very nervous if we don't get on time. And working from the home is like, it's a blessing.
Yes, it's so quiet and peaceful.
It's so quiet.
What are the main benefits of being a highly sensitive person? In what areas is this characteristic most beneficial?
Yeah, this is individual, of course.
Yes.
Maybe I should say that in the first place, it is regarded as an evolutionary trait, in the sense that I talked about being a radar. No? So we are aware of what's going on. One of the classic examples is that if there's a threat or something going on that's not right, or a smell or a fire or a noise, we are the first ones to hear it. So we can alert the rest of our tribe, or ergo people living with us or being with us in the office. Hey, something is happening. This is funny noise, somebody at the door or whatever. We're the first to notice that something is going on. This is very positive, because it enables the other ones to take action. We signal things happening, right? So we are the workers, and we are the ones that detect things. Okay, this is general, right? Then on a more personal level, well, I could say that since we enjoy beauty so much, the arts in general, we enjoy the arts very much. I mean, you write, I write, others make music, they play an instrument, others have a creative way of thinking. No, they inventors. So our way of thinking always is almost always, I cannot stand for everybody, but is we're enhancing something, we're embellishing the world or enriching the world with beauty or new thoughts of inspiration or new ideas, whatever you want to call them. So in that sense, you might call us being more original. We always have solutions because we have so much information. Since we receive so much information, we are not aware of these things, but our data, the data we dispose of. I mean, I remember like things like a problem with children, education, something is missing, a toy is missing, or a piece of a toy is missing, whatever. We immediately know what to do to make things work anyway. Mm-hmm. So we come up with things, we're very fast in that sense. And I think almost all HSPs have this faculty. So we're inventive in a way. We have got solutions. I think that's very positive.
Yes.
Then, I mean, it might not be positive to everybody, but it is to us, and others take advantage of that in a way that we contribute in a way that's normal for us, and that others might not value in that way, but we might value what we are doing. And ideas. Another thing is trends. We see this very funny profession, like people who are smelling trends. What will happen in the future? What fashion will bring? Well, those people must be HSPs. Yes. Because they can smell what's in the air, what's coming up, what wants to manifest. Yeah. Yes. What needs to manifest. I think that's very HSP. I don't know. Generally, I think we're sometimes, and that might sound a bit pompous maybe, but I also think that we are the guardians of the values. Values in the sense of the environment. Many of us are activists in the themes of the environment, climate change, for instance. Because we can see the danger in the long run. So we are, most of us, very much aware of what's happening to the animals. Our animals are mistreated, domestic violence, children suffering, refugee camps, all these things we carry with us, most of us. And we are aware of these sufferings, so we might sort of defend these people or participate in actions. So that's where values come in. How we use our money, recycling, all that kind of things. Honesty. There's things like justice. Yes. This is very important to HSPs.
A sense of justice.
Yeah. So I think our task, our work, our contribution in general has to do with things like that. Where's the world going? What's going on? Be aware of looking for the truth, looking for sense of things. Why are things happening? What's behind it? What for? What needs to be learned in general?
Yes.
So it might not be really of interest to the other 70% what we are contributing, but I think that without us doing what we are doing, the world might have been worse off.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
And what are the main advices you give to those who discover they are HSPs? How is it possible to live in peace and feeling different from the others?
Well, I think feeling different from the others, there's this thing called diversity.
Yes.
And I think it's very important that we realize that diversity is a plus. It's not a threat. So, examples like the 12 Knights of the Round Table, 12 apostles, 12 signs, astrological signs, always this 12. No? It's like a very symbolic number. 12 different opinions are necessary to get the idea together. So diversity or being different is a plus. It's not something that, it's something that adds up. It's not something that's taking away, right? So become aware of your being different in a positive way. Become aware of what you might contribute being an HSP to your environment, to your family, to your neighborhood, to expanding, to your workplace, whatever. Everybody and every HSP wants to contribute, wants to do something to help. Exactly.
I discover I like helping others in every way, in what I can and what I can do.
Exactly.
I like to help.
That's a major value, right? So become aware of that, and then try to help and not criticize others that they don't help or don't help in the same way as you are helping. Accept that everybody is within each of these 12 positions, or 24 or whatever, 12 as a symbol. Each one is playing their part, and we can play our part. That's very important, and we should play our part. We should claim this part as being ours. Now I lost track of your questions.
What are the main advice you give to those who discover?
Okay, so be aware of diversity and become aware of how and where you are diverse, and exploit that. Make that a strong point of your being, right? Then also, well, like I said before, and I repeat this endlessly, get to know the trait. Get to know the trait. What is it? And what is it in general? And what is it for you? And how has it shaped your life? How has it shaped your personality? Discover that and then accept it and play with it. Right? So that's probably, those are the basic things. Acceptance, accept that you are an HSP, that you belong to the 30%. You will never, ever, ever in your life become a non-HSP because you are born with this.
It's not a trait that goes away.
No, because it's like your blue eyes. You don't have blue eyes. I don't have blue eyes, but if you have blue eyes, you will have blue eyes for the rest of your life. Even if you put colored lenses in, your eyes will remain blue. So make most of it. I mean, enjoy your blue eyes. Be proud of who you are, and be proud of your positive side, and also accept the negative side or the difficult side, which is the stress thing and your need for boundaries and your need for rest. Because the more you respect that, the more your sensitivity will flourish.
And how can we, I think that highly sensitive person and being sensitive can be seen as a sign of weakness for society. How can we change this reality, this set of mind, this mindset?
Yeah. Weakness is also a judgment in itself, because what is weak? Actually, I think we are stronger than non-HSPs. We're not weak at all, because it takes so much strength, so much courage, so much inner force to maintain ourselves in this world. But I really think we are much stronger than non-HSPs, because we have to work harder. We have to give more, and we're giving more. So I think once an HSP realizes this, he will not suffer or see himself or herself as weaker. Different, but not weaker.
But not weak. Mm.
Yeah.
If we could speak about tools to live this highly sensitivity more healthily, which were those tools? Imagine, turn off your notifications on your cell phone, or sleep 8 hours a day, or can we just summarize some tools?
Yeah, okay. Starting with what you said, be very careful of mobile phones. Be very careful with being online. Be very careful about what you are eating.
No sugars, no flours, processed foods.
No, well, processed food definitely not for anybody, but be aware. So investigate a bit there, about what's a healthy diet. I'm nobody to say that nobody should eat meat or fish. I mean, everybody should know for themselves. Investigate a bit and see. I mean, I know that eating well has a major impact on my mood. If one day I don't eat well, the next day I might feel, well, depressed is a big word, not like depressed, but I feel a bit down, everything is more heavy, life itself becomes heavy, I see more problems. Whereas if I eat well and have lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, I feel lighter, I feel happier within myself. So watch that and watch the hours of sleep. I mean, one night with 7 or 6 hours doesn't really matter, but realize that it's during sleep that we are processing all the information we didn't get to process during the day. So we need those hours to make a fresh start the next morning. So enough sleep, boundaries, discover what your needs are, where your needs lie, and be sort of very fierce about them. Be clear about them and explain others about your needs, because you don't want that others no, I should say it differently. You want others to, they probably will not understand you, because if they're not HSP, they will not be able to understand you. But if you are clear about what you're feeling and how you're feeling, others might accept you for who and what you are.
That's the trait, right? They cannot understand, but they can accept.
Yeah, the same way you accept them. I mean, don't bang your head and against the wall and keep on banging it, expecting other people to understand you, because it doesn't work like that. Accept them as they are. They've got other positive sides, things you don't have, like, for instance, this capacity to go on and on and on, or to be apparently stronger, to no sé, Spanish creeping in.
Spanish.
To, I don't know, to go to the mall and do shoppings at Christmas time and see all these people, and we don't want to do that because it's harmful to us. So divide the task. So you do within a relationship. If you handle those things, I will handle these things. I'm good at those things, and you are better at those things. So where can we find each other?
And probably one other tool is not seeing violent movies.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't normally, would we?
No.
This sort of natural discrimination towards violence and violent movies. Yeah, but also, and maybe that's more important, go out in nature. If you live in a city, find a park. If you have a terrace, put some flower pots there, or have indoor plants, or, I mean, find ways to connect with nature. And if you can go out a day in the mountains or to the beach or whatever feeds your need for connection
with nature.
Nature, do that, because nature is a medicine in itself. Arts, I don't know, paint, play an instrument. You don't have to become a Rembrandt, and you don't have to become I don't know,
Mozart, probably.
Mozart, but just for the sheer joy of being creative. Enjoy doing things like that. Something beautiful. Read, write. So many ways to express. Photography.
I love photography, for instance,
So do
very
I.
much. So I guess these were the questions I had prepared for you. It was a pleasure speaking with you about these things. I don't know if I can have your email, if I have some other questions that showed during the time that I'm going to write it.
You have your email.
Can I have it?
You have your email because we are all in the same email from them.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah. So if I have some questions, can I write it to you?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll send you this recording.
Yes, please.
Where do I?
I think